Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful metaphor, one that could totally change how you see your own potential. It's all built around this one simple, kind of provocative idea, the 50-cent prayer. Let's dive right in.
So let me just ask you something straight up. Have you ever found yourself asking for just enough to get by? You know, just enough to cover that one bill or just enough to make it to your next paycheck? Well, the source material we're digging into today really asks us to face that mindset head on.
And this is the question that just stops you in your tracks, and it frames this entire idea. The source we're looking at paints this picture of a trillionaire's kid begging on the street for loose change. I mean, it sounds completely absurd, right? But the argument is that's exactly what we're doing when we aim way, way too low.
All right, so let's really get into what this 50-cent prayer is all about. What does it actually mean when we operate with this mindset of limitation?
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got the 50-cent requests, an $18 an hour job, maybe a little overtime, just enough to scrape by. But on the right, that's what the source calls our inheritance. We're talking millions in store, a home waiting, a destiny that is so much bigger than just paying the bills. The gap between these two is it's huge.
Okay, so if we're asking for these small, seemingly reasonable things, why is the answer sometimes no? The source offers a really profound way to look at this. It argues that a no isn't rejection at all. It's actually something else entirely.
You see, these small prayers can lock us into what's called survival mode. And when you're in that state, your whole world shrinks. All you can see is the fire right in front of you. You're not thinking about the future. You're not building anything. You're just trying to keep your head above water.
And here's the twist, the part that sounds a little crazy at first. According to the source, getting that 50 cents, that quick, temporary fix, it doesn't actually solve the real problem. In fact, it can enable the very behaviors, like bad money habits or just a lack of planning, that keep you stuck in that paycheck-to-paycheck loop in the first place.
This really gets to the heart of the message, that no isn't a rejection of you. It's a rejection of the self-limiting pattern you're stuck in. The whole argument is that it's an act of love, designed to force you out of survival mode and push you toward real, lasting growth.
Okay, so if thinking small is just the symptom, what's the actual disease? Where does this feeling of always being behind, of always lacking, really come from? Let's look at the next piece of this puzzle.
The source puts it so simply, it's almost blunt. The root cause of our lack is that we keep going back. Back to the old habits, back to the relationships that drain us, back to the negative thoughts. We keep running back to the very things that caused the problem to begin with. So even if you get pulled out of a bad spot, if you turn right around and run back in, the cycle just starts all over again.
Right, so if the problem is going back, then the solution has to be moving forward. And to explain how that works, the source introduces another really cool metaphor, this idea that you've just been enrolled in Stewardship University. Okay, so here's how it works. Your massive inheritance, all that potential, it's already yours, but it's being held for you in a trust. And to get access to it, you have to graduate. How do you graduate? By passing your courses. Now, these aren't college classes. They're the small, specific, positive actions you feel that nudge to take. And each one you pass builds the character and the discipline you're going to need to handle what's coming.
Now, let's be super clear on this point. This is not about working to earn something you don't have. The inheritance is already yours. This whole thing is about being trained to be a good steward of it. It's really just a basic principle of life. You build discipline through small, consistent actions. Think about it, right? A wise person wouldn't just hand $1 million to someone who has no idea how to manage it. This university is the training ground to build you into someone who can.
So, all of this brings us to a really practical, personal point. The goal is to shift from just asking for 50 cents to actually taking action on your next course assignment.
So, what does a course even look like in real life? Well, it's not some huge dramatic thing. It's the small stuff. It's finally starting to save a little money each week instead of spending it. It's cooking at home instead of getting takeout again. It could even be walking away from a relationship that's dragging you down, or finally starting that project you keep putting off. It's just the next right thing.
And this is where it all clicks and becomes really personal. You know that feeling you have? That little nudge to do something positive, something you've been avoiding? According to this idea, that is your next course. That's your assignment. That's your enrollment paper for Stewardship University.
So we'll leave you with this.
If you're ready to stop praying for 50 cents and start moving toward your inheritance, the real question isn't what you should ask for next. The real question is this: what is the course that you've been putting off enrolling in?